Hello and welcome to your favorite YouTube channel, Cloud Expert Solutions, and welcome back to AWS Certified Solution Architect Associate Certification Bootcamp. In this module, we are diving into crucial S3 concepts that move beyond basic storage and focus on how you interact with your data at a more granular level. In this module, we'll cover Amazon S3 access log. Then we are going to review Amazon S3 event notification, followed by Amazon S3 pre-signed URL. Before completing the video, we will log into AWS Management Console and we will review all these S3 features in action. On behalf of the Cloud Expert Solutions team, I would like to thank you for joining us and selecting this bootcamp. Let's get started. S3 access log are incredibly important for security and compliance. When enabled, S3 records every single request made to your bucket, and that includes successful gets, failed puts, and everything in between. The log captures valuable data like IP address of the requester, the request time, the operation performed, and the HTTP status code. This is vital for use cases like auditing who is accessing sensitive data, understanding traffic pattern for capacity planning. You can also use for troubleshooting, that means why certain requests are failing. You can configure S3 access log from S3 console. While configuring S3 access log, you need to specify a target S3 bucket. Please remember the best practice. You should deliver the access log to a different bucket, or else you are going to have endless loop of logging the log themselves. That means the source is going to create a log, then that log will be put into S3 log. It is going to take as a new object and that is going to create an endless loop. The target S3 bucket must be in the same AWS region as the source bucket. S3 access logs are delivered as simple text files. For a busy bucket, these files can get very large and very quickly. You can't just open them in text editor. That is where tools like Amazon Athena comes into picture. Amazon Athena is a serverless query service that lets you run standard SQL queries directly on your S3 log data without managing any infrastructure. For the certification exam, please remember a crucial detail. S3 access logs are based effort basis. That means some log might be delivered late. They are not a real-time but 100% guaranteed log delivery service. If you need API access log, then you can use Amazon CloudTrail for that, not S3 access log. Now let's get into automation with S3 event notification. This feature lets you trigger action in real time when specific events happen in your S3 bucket. The most common events are S3 object created. That means anytime you upload a file into S3 bucket, S3 object removed when you are deleting an object, S3 object restore, and S3 reduced redundancy lost objects. These are not the only events, these are some of the events. The destination for these events can be incredibly powerful. You can use Amazon SNS if you want to send notification to Amazon SNS like text message or email. You can also fan out notification to multiple destinations. In this diagram, we have listed some of the destinations that you can use as fan out. That means Amazon S3 will deliver the notification to SNS, and then from SNS you can trigger SQS, API Gateway, Kinesis Data Firehose, or even Amazon Event Bridge. You can use SQS as destination if you want to put a message in a queue for a backend worker application to process the data asynchronously. Again, from SQS, you can trigger downstream systems. You can also use AWS Lambda as destination if you want to run custom code on objects right after the event. And you can also send events to multiple destinations. That means to all the destinations in parallel. You can also add filters to your rules to only trigger for specific file types. like only for .jpg files in a certain image, or you can use for any file types that has been uploaded or deleted from S3 bucket. Now let's review some use cases. A classic use case is image processing. Maybe a user can upload a high resolution photo to your S3 bucket. Then an event notification triggers a Lambda function that automatically creates a low resolution thumbnail for the image. You can also upload a log file or any type of file, and you can have a custom Lambda function to validate that logic. For the AWS certification, you should be aware of few limitations. These events are eventual consistent. That means there will be slight delay in delivery. While configuring S3 event notification, you can filter objects by prefix and suffix. You can also filter with the file types. However, you cannot filter events by object tags. This is a very critical limitation you should remember for the certification exam. Now let's review S3 pre-signed URL. Assume you have a private S3 bucket and you want to grant temporary access to a single file to an external user who does not have AWS credential. A pre-signed URL is the answer for that. Let's understand the mechanism, how you can create the pre-signed URL. You as an authenticated AWS user generate a special URL. Either you can use AWS SDK, CLI, or even AWS Management Console. Let's understand the process using this diagram. You as an administrator, first you are going to create the pre-signed URL. You will get that S3 pre-signed URL. Then you will pass that S3 pre-signed URL to the user. Using that URL, the user will be able to either upload or download the file from S3. While creating this pre-signed URL, you specify which action is allowed. That means a get operation for download or put operation for upload. And you can also configure how long the URL will be valid, that is either 1 hour or 15 minutes. If the pre-signed URL is generated through Amazon S3 console, then the maximum expiration time will be limited to 12 hours. But if you need a longer duration, if you have any use case where you need longer than 7 days, then alternatively you can use Amazon CloudFront signed URL or signed cookie. Although the names are similar, but these are two different things. We have a dedicated lesson on Amazon CloudFront. The perfect use case for pre-signed URL is like a time-sensitive download link for a customer invoice, or giving a partner a secure temporary link to upload data to specific location in your bucket. S3 pre-signed URL is ideal for users who don't have an AWS account or IAM permission. For the certification exam, you should remember a couple of the points. The permission of the person who generates the URL are what matter, not the person who use it, because the person who is generating this URL, it is going to copy his or her permission. The URL is only valid for the time you specify and the HTTP method you defined. This is more applicable if your bucket is private. If your bucket is public, then the URL won't be signed and anyone could access the data without this pre-signed URL. Now let's go back to AWS Management Console and let's review all these three features one by one. Back to my AWS Management Console, we are going to use our existing bucket, Cloud Expert Solutions S3 demo. Let's go inside that bucket. From properties, first we are going to enable S3 access log. You need to scroll towards the middle of the page. Here you have server access login. Let's edit and let's enable. You have to provide a destination bucket. Here the bucket policy will be updated if you are enabling that. But let's browse our S3. You have the option to select the same bucket. See, I can select the same bucket. However, if you will select the same bucket, then it is going to create an endless loop and your S3 bucket will be filled very quickly. That is why I am going to choose a different bucket. Maybe I am going to use AWS Terraform script library. You can see the destination region and the destination bucket name. The destination bucket should be in the same region as your source bucket. In terms of log object key format, you can define the object key format. Either you can go with the first format where the logs will be delivered using YYYY, MMDD, hour, minute, second, and then the unique string. Or you can use the second prefix to speed up the log analytics. I do not have an use case. I am going to select this. And finally, save changes. Now let's scroll and let's check. Yes, the server logging has been enabled for me. This is the destination bucket. Let's review the pre-signed URL part. We are going to upload an object into this bucket. Let's upload. I have a rose picture that I am going to upload in this bucket. So let's upload. Okay. I have uploaded this image. Let's close it. If you want to generate pre-signed URL, you can choose this object from action, share with a pre-signed URL. Here you can configure the time. Maybe if you want 1 hour, and then you can create a pre-signed URL. You can copy this pre-signed URL. You can open a new tab and paste it, or you can share this URL to the person with whom you want to share. Here is the image. Now let's go back to our S3 bucket. We are going to review the bucket permission. If I'll go to permission, you can see block all public access. This is enable. That means this bucket is a private bucket. Now let's try to access this object directly without pre-signed URL. I am going to copy this object. Here I am going to copy URL. Here you go. If I try to access this object directly, I am going to get access denied because this bucket is private. However, if I am going to access using the pre-signed URL, then I'll be able to access because pre-signed URL has all this authentication. As part of our third feature, S3 event notification, we are going to generate this pre-signed URL using a Lambda function because every time you won't be able to generate this pre-signed URL manually. That is why let's review both the feature combinedly. But before that, let me take you to AWS Lambda. I'll open in a new tab. Here I have an existing Lambda function, CS-S3 event notification. Since this course is not for Lambda and we have a dedicated Lambda module where we have explained how to create Lambda and all. So let me go through these Lambda functions very quickly, whatever we have done. This is a Python Lambda function. Here we are receiving the event. Then from that event we are extracting the bucket name, the object key, and then here we are setting the expiration time, and the expiration time is 1 hour, that is the default. And then we are creating the pre-signed URL. And finally, we are printing this pre-signed URL into log, and it is going to write this log in CloudWatch. Let's create the S3 event notification. Let's invoke this Lambda function, and then let's review the entire process. I'll go to my function dashboard. I'll click that function. Here is a visual diagram. You can see currently there is no trigger, no destination. Now let's go to our S3 bucket. I'll go to properties. Towards the middle you will find event notification. Let's create event notification. I'm going to use the event name as CS-S3 demo event notification. I don't want to use any prefix or any suffix. Here are the event types, object creation. Either you can select all create events or you can select either put, post, copy or multipart based on your requirement. I am going to use all object create events. Similarly, you can include all object removal events, object restore events, object ACL, object tagging. This tagging is not as the object tag. Whenever you are going to add tag, that is going to trigger the event. But you cannot trigger using an object tag. Here are the lifecycle rules. Let's scroll at the bottom, and in terms of destinations, we have Lambda functions, SNS topic and SQS queue. I'll choose a Lambda function because I already have one. From this drop down, I am going to choose my Lambda function and save changes. It has successfully created event notification. Let's close this pop-up. Here is the event notification that it has created. Now let's go to AWS Lambda and let's refresh this page. You can see one trigger has been added. That means now if I am going to upload any object in this S3 bucket, it is going to trigger this Lambda function. Let's test that. I'll go to object. I'm going to upload the same object. It is going to overwrite. Let's upload. I'm going to upload the same file. Upload. Let's close this pop-up. Here you can see I have successfully uploaded that image file. Now let's go to AWS Lambda. Here I have monitoring. It might take some time because this is eventual consistent. It's not real time. Let's refresh 1 or 2 times. And we can go to Amazon CloudWatch. From CloudWatch, I can go to log groups. Let me refresh. Here I have this log group, CES S3 event notification. Seems like the event has been delivered. This is the updated log. Yes, here I have the generated pre-signed URL. Now let's copy this URL. You need to copy the URL entirely. You can see the expire timestamp, which is an epoch timestamp, and I'm going to paste it. Here you go. I'm able to access that image and it has successfully created the pre-signed URL for me. I don't need that S3 event notification anymore. I don't want anytime I'm going to upload object, it is going to trigger that Lambda function. I'll go to properties and I'm going to delete the event notification. Yes, I have deleted. I can also disable the access log. I'll go to server access logging, edit, and I'm going to disable. I don't want any more log to be generated here. I'll close this pop-up. You can keep the Lambda function because Lambda normally don't charge unless and until you are going to invoke that Lambda function. But I'll recommend to delete other attributes. That wraps up this module. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more AWS exam preparation courses and cloud certification bootcamps. Got questions or feedback? Drop them in the comment. We love to hear from you. Thanks for learning with us at Cloud Expert Solutions. You are now one step closer to crushing your exam. See you in the next module.